We're here at Penn Dixie Fossil Park and Nature Reserve, but this is something that you will not see. You can only see it on AM Buffalo. We've come to a restricted area to meet up with Executive Director Dr. Phil Stokes and talk about life and death.
The story of our planet is really about life and death. And this area that we're in at Penn Dixie, this restricted area, is loaded with fossils. And it's not just because there are more fossils here, it happens to be because this area has been recently eroded by the stream that we're standing in. And that water cut through all the layers of rock, exposing thousands, if not millions of years worth of fossils. What it takes to become a fossil, so if an animal is, say, swimming in the water, say it's a fish, and it's eaten by another animal, it's not going to become a fossil, unless it becomes part of fossil poo, which we talked about last time. So first of all, an animal needs to die. It needs to be buried very quickly before decomposition can occur or before it can be eaten by another animal. So that usually means some amount of sediment has to cover the fossil to the point where nothing else can get at it. Then over a period of time, the organic remains in that animal, so the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, those are replaced by inorganic minerals. And then after a long period of time, the minerals replace the organic matter and it becomes a fossil.
So how does a critter have to die to become a fossil?
There's quite a lot of ways to die, and just like with us humans, the same applies to things living in the past. And here at Penn Dixie, one of the really common things we see are groups of fossils together in a rock that's known as a death assemblage. So what that means is you had a whole bunch of animals living on the ocean floor, perhaps in a coral reef environment or a little bit of deeper water. They were enjoying life, they were swimming around, or they were filtering food from the water, and then suddenly a natural disaster comes along, such as a hurricane or a big storm. It churns up a bunch of sediment and buries them alive.
So when you see this mass clump of fossils, that's the death assemblage?
Yes.
So all of these kind of died together in a mass grave of fossils?
Absolutely, it's exactly like a mass grave. And there's actually two ways that can come about. So one is they're all just hanging out in one place and they're buried sort of as is, preserved forever. The other way is, say there was an event that came along and killed them and then later washed them into a depression. And then you end up with a whole bunch of animals from maybe different places that are dead and buried in one spot.
So could some of these fossils be from like a meteor that like shocked the water and then killed them and then they all tumbled into a depression together?
You know, we don't have any evidence of a meteor impact here at Penn Dixie, but believe it or not, in the walls of the stream here, there is a very thin layer of volcanic ash. So somewhere not too far away, a volcano erupted 385 million years ago and basically crushed out life. The good news for it, though, is maybe all the animals in this area died, but within, say, a few decades, the ocean was repopulated by animals elsewhere that sort of came back.
And the cycle continues.
Oh, look! Hey, Phil! I found a brachiopod.
All right.
Mel, I love your stories. It's like watching a little bit of Nat Geo. You know, I just love that stuff. Well, the story behind the story about all of those incredible millions and millions of fossils that are right here in Western New York. Amazing.